I remember the students who I admired scholastically. Hiram McClendon was one of that I considered one of the real brains. He went on to an illustrious career in the educational field. And I remember the students that I looked up to as spiritual leaders, Harry Hatton, and some of the others that stand out in my mind. And we made wonderful friendships, but with the war coming on and my career taking me in areas where the friends that we made were not located, we kept in touch with a few over the years, but I can't say that we have had a close relationship with very many of our classmates, something that I miss. It was earth-shaking to us. I can remember December the 7th when the Japanese attacked, and we were in our dorm listening to the radio, and the announcement came over, and it was like we were awestruck, and we didn't, it just completely changed the lives of so many of our students and young people throughout America. Those students who went off to war came back after the war and finished their education at Olivet, and we continued to live in the Kankakee area after we graduated. So we got to know some of those who came back to finish their education, and a few of those we have maintained good contact with over the years.
Well, I remember all the great things and good times I had there, and all the friends that I had there. But there's so much else more going on now that with our family and
Sure.
and that I've just forgotten about it. I forget all the things very easily. I forget a lot of things that I shouldn't, and I've probably forgotten a lot about all of that.
Well, we know more about Olivet than many of the other things that would solicit help from us. And while we have given significant support to other worthy Christian causes, and we try to concentrate what we do on Christian organizations and institutions. But Olivet is close to our heart, and as we've gone back from year to year, we don't get there every year, but when we do go back and we see what is being accomplished on the campus through the leadership and the teaching staff, we are not only pleased, we are compelled to do what we can, and we have done more for Olivet than any other. We have been a good supporter of African Nazarene University, as you may or may not know, and we have helped build a medical clinic through a Baptist organization, and so God has blessed us far beyond. I cannot imagine when I graduated from college that I would ever be in a position to be able to do some of the things that we've been able to do. God has been so good to us. When I think about the young people who we have been able to help with scholarship, And I think how their lives are being changed by their Olivet experience and the impact that their lives will have on their children, their friends, and many of them in some sort of ministerial work. It's a multiplier factor by tens of thousands.
There were 6 children. I was next to the youngest, and there are 2 of us went to college. My older sister went to Ohio College, and I went to Olivet. We were only 2 out of 6 that went to college. My dad
Right.
was a farmer, and I enjoyed growing up on a farm. And
What about your family today? Your children,
Immediate family.
your children, and your great grandchildren.
we have 2 children, Marcia and Greg, and if Olivet had been then like it is now, we would certainly have encouraged them to go there. But they both went to Wheaton and graduated from there. And Marcia is living here in Wilmington. She has 3 children. And Greg is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's a dentist. He has a family of 2 boys.
So 5 great grandchildren.
We have 5 great-grandchildren and 10 great-great
Oh
grandchildren.
my!
We had just built before we made that decision to buy that business, we had just built a nice new ranch home out along the Kankakee River in a subdivision called Shore Acres. And when we sold that to raise the money for the business venture, we went to Waukegan, and I rented a house in Waukegan, which was a great come down from the ranch house that we had just vacated. And one of the movers who was moving us up there said to Miriam, "I see why you were crying when you left the other house." After I had what I referred to as my retirement from Regal Beloit Corporation, we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and I was looking around for investment and business opportunities in the Phoenix area, and I rented a office in one of these so-called business office complexes where you get secretarial service and all that. And in the office next to me was a young man, younger than I was, who had recently retired from and sold a computer-related business and had moved to Arizona, and he and I became friends. And together we decided we would look around for investment opportunities. A couple of young guys came to us. One was I call him a genius as a computer programmer. And the other was a young man who had been working for Arizona State University, managing their facilities, their auditoriums and other facilities that they had. They came to us and said they had an idea for a computerized ticketing system. And at that time, there was only one company in the US. It was called Ticketron. They had developed a computer ticketing system, and which was in place out primarily in the New York, Philadelphia, East Coast area. And their concept was, instead of building a huge system that would service a large area of multiple cities. Their idea was to take advantage of the smaller computers that were being developed and create systems that would be what we call standalone system for either a individual facility, a stadium, an auditorium, or for a single municipality that could service all the facilities in that municipality. So they brought the idea to us. They asked us if we would bankroll it, and we set out some conditions that we would do it. The other fellow who was the other investor in it his name was Charles Hamby, and we agreed that he would be the sales promoter and I would be the financial officer, and these two young men would provide the technology. So we put together the team and opened our first system in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then built a system for El Paso, Texas, and then built a system for University of Oklahoma, and it just took off. And it turned out to be a far greater success than I had any imagination of. It was risky, but these two young men convinced us that they had the knowledge and the desire and the willingness to sacrifice in the early years when it was getting started. And it turned out to be a marvelous success. To a company that wanted to buy my interest, I sold my interest in the company about 8 to 10 years after we had started it. I sold it too soon, frankly. But I had other fish to fry, so to speak, and they made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. And so, but I kept, as part of the deal, I kept the license rights and the ownership of the system that was operated by the University of Oklahoma for the state of Oklahoma. And I kept that and for many, many years, and eventually sold it to the company that had bought out all the other interest of Ticketmaster. So I no longer have any interest in the company other than academic interest. The lessons that I believe stand the test of time are honesty is still the best policy. Integrity is above all other. If you don't have integrity and honesty in business, you may be able to accomplish some success, which may or may not last, but the bedrock of good business practice is still honesty and integrity. You have to be somewhat of a risk taker if you're going to have success. Trust yourself, trust your judgment. Don't listen to the naysayers. And work hard. It's not always easy.